One evening, a group of children gathered in the school gymnasium to expend their energy. As the lights gradually dimmed, the gym took on an eerie silence. Inspired by a particularly frightening story, tension filled the air in the middle of the gym. Just then, a peculiar breeze sound came from a corner window. Catching their attention, the children rushed to the window and peered outside. Across the street in the park, a strange shadow emerged. After a while, mysterious echoes resonated among the trees. Excited, the children decided to venture into the park. However, upon their arrival, the shadow disappeared, leaving a quiet atmosphere among the trees. Undeterred, the friends chose not to abandon the mystery, but to follow the strange sounds. As they walked deeper into the park, they arrived at an old fountain. Strange markings and inscriptions surrounded the fountain. Suddenly, a mist enveloped the children. When the mist dissipated, they saw peculiar figures dancing around the ancient plane tree in the middle of the park. Following this strange event, the children hurriedly went to the police station to report what had happened. However, the police officers dismissed their stories as products of imagination. Undeterred, the children returned to the park to prove what they knew to be true. This time they discovered an old cemetery among the trees. Unusual symbols and inscriptions adorn the gravestones. The children decided to investigate the history of the cemetery and then returned to the police station. Their research revealed that years ago, a family had disappeared where an old house now stood. This time, they discovered an old cemetery among the trees. Unusual symbols and inscriptions adorn the gravestones. The children decided to investigate the history of the cemetery and then returned to the police station. Their research revealed that years ago, a family had disappeared where an old house now stood. Their curiosity piqued. The children returned to the site of the old house. The windows were dark, and the door was slightly ajar. Gathering their courage, they entered inside. There were strange sounds and the whispers of the wind through dark corridors. As they ventured deeper, they encountered ghostly figures in the dark corridors. These ghosts turned out to be the spirits of the missing family members. They narrated the tragic events they had experienced and pleaded for help. The children did everything in their power to bring peace to these spirits. The ghost stories explained the mysterious events in the park and the gymnasium. After bringing solace to the spirits, the children quickly left the old house. Since that day, the children never spoke of what happened to anyone. However, the story of the old house in a park became a mysterious legend in the town. Among the children, the fear-filled adventure they experienced that night remained unforgettable. One night, a young boy named Tim walked down a dark street. The dim light from the street lamps casting eerie shadows on the walls of the buildings. The air was cold, and the atmosphere was filled with an unsettling quiet. Tim, feeling uneasy, continued his walk, and his footsteps were the only sound accompanying him. Suddenly, Tim found himself standing beneath a bridge that looked darker and more ominous than the rest. The rusty iron railings and stones beneath were adorned with strange symbols, hinting at a forgotten history. As he approached, curiosity overcame Tim's initial hesitation, and he decided to pass beneath the bridge. However, with each step, A peculiar sound echoed from beneath, starting as a faint whisper and evolving into a more distinct and chilling tone. Tim, slowing his pace, scanned his surroundings carefully, but the source of the sound eluded him. It was then that he noticed unfamiliar symbols carved into the old stones beneath the bridge, seemingly written in an indecipherable language that quickened Tim's heart. Abruptly, his gaze fixated on a shadow beneath the bridge. The shadow represented a slender figure, but its details remained elusive. Tim halted his steps and stood beneath the bridge. At that moment, the shadow took a deep breath, making its presence known. The shadow turned toward Tim and spoke with a gentle voice. "Welcome." "Tim, did you think you were lost?" Tim nodded in fear, but words escaped him. The shadow introduced itself as a reflection of Tim. As Tim's face appeared on the shadow's face, fear enveloped him. The shadow uttered, "You've come here. Now, there's no turning back." Tim, shrouded in darkness, continued walking. With each step, the shadow's vague face became more defined. When he reached the middle beneath the bridge, the shadow turned toward him, revealing Tim's own face. Terrified, Tim recoiled as the shadow approached him, speaking with the same gentle voice. "You're trapped here, Tim. There is no escaping from this place." Strange sounds intensified around Tim beneath the dark bridge. Other shadows transformed into horrifying figures, enclosing Tim. He felt lost amidst his own reflections. Eventually, he vanished into profound darkness, leaving only the terrifying sounds beneath the bridge. The next day, people on the street claimed Tim had disappeared. However, no one truly knew what had happened. On the night Tim vanished, eerie sounds still echoed beneath that ominous bridge.